啊。呢個 background 都幾靚喎，係咪啊？都算嚇唔錯喎，係嘛？
幾好啊！
係啊，幾好啊！我哋香港應該多啲綠色啦。我哋話而家嗰個沿海大道由我哋銅鑼灣去到中環嗰度都唔種多啲樹，仲係石屎路。嗰個係海濱嗰度，全部都係石屎嚟嘅。唉，我哋話應該有好多呢啲我哋啲綠色咁啊好啦。唔知點解我哋唔整，係咪方便打理又或者點樣？佢有啲艇，有啲卡啦。
唐生俾啲時間佢哋，佢哋大把嘢都唔知教得邊樣好啊！而家
係咁都係啱嘅，唔好要求咁高係嘛？係因為而家搞掂疫情先啦，真係。係 Esg 喺唔喺度啊 ？Hi， 我睇唔到佢啊。
Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to the online briefing section of the ESG Achievement Awards 2020. We are very glad to see you all here today. I'm PN, your MC of today. Today's program is divided into two parts. The first section is to introduce the ESG Achievement Awards, and the second section is a panel discussion on ESG, its impact, and social responsible investing. And for any questions regarding to the awards, please feel free to type them in the Q&A chat box below, and we will answer them accordingly during the Q&A section. Now, may I open the floor to Mr. Paul Pong, founder and chairman of the Institute of ESG and Benchmark, to introduce the Institute of ESG and Benchmark and the objectives of the awards. Mr. Pong, please.
Thank you, Pian. Good afternoon to all of our honorable speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen here today. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to this ESG Achievement Award online briefing seminar. I am Paul, and I am founder of Institute of ESG and Benchmark, also known as IESGB. We hope all of you can learn more about ESG, our institute, and the detail of the award through this seminar. Before we begin, let me introduce to you more about our institute. IESGB is a non-profit organization founded by Wilson and I in February 2020. The reason why we established this institute is because we think that the concept of ESG will be a big trend in Hong Kong's future. The Hong Kong Stock Exchange requires the ESG report from listed companies, and which is compulsory. Yet, many companies less knowledge and awareness of the E, S, and G aspect and how to best achieve this practice. Therefore, IESGB has been established. Its endeavor is to elevate stakeholders' awareness and knowledge towards environmental, social, and governance. It's a growing focus for business, investor, and community globally. Our institute will provide different ESG trainings, workshops, seminars, events, and exit an advisory role so that we can keep up with the rising demand for ESG standards within Hong Kong and globally. We have advisor and committee members from various industry sectors to help provide professional advice to different companies. We believe that ESG is a pivotal aspect of an organization's culture, sustainability, and innovation. We wish to develop a comprehensive ESG community an ecosystem for all stakeholders like government bodies, regulators, investors, fund industries, university, and so on. Ultimately, ethics is our final goal. As our institute continues to develop rapidly, our goal is to foster an impactful community and become the largest ESG non-profit organization that lead and strengthen ESG development in Hong Kong and Asia. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank different stakeholder partners, supporting organizations for your support of IESGB's growth. In the future, we welcome stakeholders from different industries to join us, explore different potential collaboration, and promote ESG together with the same mission and vision. The ESG Achievement Award 2020 is the first award to organized by IESGB. It was established in response to recent societal focus on ESG initiative. That successful cooperation can be defined beyond commercial success. As mentioned, ESG-related practice are rising in demand. The award aims to put forward and showcase companies with outstanding ESG approach that has proven their effort in building a better ecosystem in Hong Kong. As a result, we hope to bring attention to these high-achieving companies to the society at large to take inspiration and develop their own ESG initiative, and also to connect ESG-oriented companies, including enterprise, SMEs, startups, non-profit, and individuals to encourage everyone to take similar action and reinforce the importance of ESG in Hong Kong and Asia. ESG Achievement Award 2020 creates an excellent platform for all participating companies. We are honored to have Hang Seng Index Company Limited as our honorary supporting organization and Hong Kong Quality Assurance Agency as our ESG data provider and supporting organization. Their involvement is crucial to evaluating the participating organization comprehensively. I would like to take this chance to introduce to you our esteemed jury panel, some of whom are here with us today. Our head juror, Mr. Vincent Pan, and also our jurors, Dr. 𝐀𝐜𝐴𝑚, and then Mr. Xiu-Heng Chen, Ms. Rowena Chiu, Ms. Chow Pin Hong Nelson, Ms. Ashley Koo, Mr. Thomas Lee, Professor Charles Dr. Kenny Tang, Mr. Mike Wong, Ms. Jess Yu, and Mrs. Rebecca Yong. It's our greatest pleasure to have all of you in our panel. Thank you and hope to see you soon in person.
Thank you, Mr. Pong, for your introduction. So moving to the next, we will have Mr. Vincent Pang, who is our head juror of this award, and he is the managing director of Avista Group, and he will also introduce the award categories and judging criteria. Mr. Pang, please.
Okay, thank you. Hi, thanks, Mr. Pong, for the introduction. And hello, everyone. I'm Vincent Pan, and I'm the head juror of this award. And thank you, everyone's here. Today, I will discuss the different award categories, judging criteria, and the different level of award achievement. So as you can see in this diagram, there is a 4 type of awards subcategories here. But today we are going to discuss the first 3 awards. And the 4th one, the honorary award, is only by the invitation. So firstly, we go to the Esg Benchmark Awards. So our target applicants are the one of the selected member of the Hang Seng Composite Index and on or after the 1st January 2019, and they must have an 𝐏𝐾QAA assessment. If you are have both qualification above, you will be automatically enter into all subcategory under the ESG Benchmark Awards. As you can see, there is 4 type of subcategory here, namely the ESG leader, outstanding performance in environmental responsibility, outstanding performance in social responsibilities, and also the outstanding performance in ESG governance. So to apply under the ESG Benchmark Awards, so you will be, if you have you are the member of a Hansen Composite Index and also have the 𝐏𝐾QAA assessment, then you will automatically enter into all those subcategories. Our jury panel will decide the finalists by reviewing your 𝐏𝐾QAA ratings, your company written ESG summary, and also other supplement documents, such as the CSR ESG report. So the second award is the Special ESG Awards. Our target applicants is from the non-listed company, privately owned company, and also the publicly listed company without the 𝐏𝐾QAA assessment, and also others SME. If you are qualified for any one of those, you can select one of the subcategory under the Special ESG Awards. So we have 4 subcategories here. The first one is the outstanding ESG performance of the year. And the second one is the ESG rising star. And the third one is the ESG fund, outstanding ESG fund and ETF. And the last one is the outstanding NGO. To apply under this category, if you are either one of those, and then you can select one of those subcategories. And our jury will have a score under 5 aspects. The first one is a sustainability strategy. And the second one is the corporate governance, social, environmental, and the last one is the overall disclosure and communications. We rating the corporate governance, social, and environmental evenly because those 3 aspects we consider is also important, and that's why we have even scores on that. And we also consider ESG integration to our business strategy is important. And we are not only look at the reporting standard, but we also want to see the applicants have incorporated the ESG factor into their business strategies. So the third one is the special award voted by fund manager. The target applicants should be like the company from relevant industry, and they also has applied for those 2 awards we just mentioned, namely the ESG Benchmark Award and the Special ESG Award. So, but in this category, those finalists is selected by the fund managers. And this award, so the last one is the award achievement level. So for all the awards, the ESG Benchmark Award, Special ESG Award, and the Special Award voted by the fund manager will be granted either one of those award types, the Diamond, Platinum, and the Gold level. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing all companies from different sectors participate in our awards. Now I should return the floor to the MC to elaborate more on how to apply this award. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pang, for the detailed explanation on the categories. Now, if you're wondering which award you should apply for, this chart would help. If you are a listed company with an 𝐏𝐻𝐾𝐻 assessment, you may apply for ESG Benchmark Awards. If you are a listed company but with no 𝐏𝐾𝐻 assessment, you may apply for special ESG awards. For unlisted or privately owned company of any scale, you may apply for special ESG awards. SMEs and NGOs are also be able to apply for this award as well. As for the special awards voted by fund managers, only those companies who have already applied it under ESG Benchmark Awards and special ESG awards may additionally apply for this third award. Companies cannot directly apply the special awards voted by fund managers without applying to the first two awards. Hope we made the above clear. IESGB and the awards jury panel has the right to make the final decision on the eligibility of all applicants. So we will now move on to the materials required for your application. A completed online application form and summary of companies' achievements under the environmental, social, and governance aspect. You also need to submit your company logo in the required size and format. This will be for the awards marketing materials only. And also your company's 2019 to 2020 ESG CSR or sustainability report. Finally, your company is allowed to provide another document or short video to further support and demonstrate your ESG achievements. And this is an optional item. So, and there is a different application fee. For ESG Benchmark Award, it is $20,000. For special ESG awards, it is $10,000, and there is a discounted rate for NGOs at $5,000. To apply for the special award voted by fund managers, the additional application fee is $5,000. Please note that NGO applicants are required to submit their nonprofit organization certificate. All applications are now open until 12 March 2021. So bear with us and take action as soon as possible to apply for the awards. As mentioned, the applications are open since today, and you may find this on the ESG Achievement Awards website. The website is here below, www.iesgbawards.org. Let us put this link in the chat group as well, so that all people can also be easier to access to our website. So the application will close by 12 March 2021, and the finalist announcement will be at the end of April. For the award presentation ceremony will be on 31st of May this year. So if you have any questions regarding to the awards after this online briefing session, you may also email us or call us using the following contact details. So that's all for the award introduction. So before we open our Q&A section for all audience, please kindly leave your questions at the Q&A chat box at bottom using your Zoom platform. So may we also invite our speakers to open the floor for the Q&A sections. So let us see if we have any Q&A section right now. Okay, so I see we don't have any questions at the moment, but let me just raise a few questions just like as an audience so that we can let our audience to have a better understanding for our awards. So say for example, hi, Mr. Pong, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. What if my company, I'm not so sure if my company has the QAA assessment and what my company's ESG ratings are. So if in such way, how can I find that out?
I think the company is, if they are interested in do the application for this award, they can send us the application, and then we will check with the Hong Kong QAA and the Hang Seng Index, so that we know that whether they are within the about 500 company, they have already the database about that 500 company. If they are, then we can quickly respond to that. But otherwise, then we have to ask our panel, jury panel, to do the I think to do the calculation and to do the whether how many grading we have to give them, the mark and all this, we add together and then come back to them. So that is the way we are handling.
Thank you, Mr. Pong. One more thing we can supplement on this. Actually, for you all, you can also go to the Hang Seng Index website to further search if your company has the QAA assessment as well. And of course, you can also choose the way that Mr. Pong just suggested, and we can also definitely check for you. And we have one floor question here. May I know what will the winner be rewarded if they win the awards? Mr. Pong, probably would you be able to let our audience know?
What will your question, can you repeat your question first, please?
Yeah, they would like to ask what will the winner be rewarded if they win the awards?
Okay, so we have a trophy, and also we can have a different kind of level of achievement. For example, we have diamond, we have platinum, and also we have different, different prizes for different achievements. So it depends on the score, and then we will come back with them. I think the score, the total score and individual score is based on our panel. They do the actually they will do the DD and then see through the paper, and then maybe sometime they will ask the question as well, and then they will mark for each company, and then collect together, and then we have a total mark, and then we can see the comparison with the other, award awardees, potential awardees, so to see which level they should be in, and then we present this prize to them.
Thank you, Mr. Pong. As just what Mr. Pong mentioned just now, actually we have 3 different achievement levels, and this also mentioned by our head juror, Mr. Pang, as well. For the 3 levels, we will have diamond, platinum, and gold. So basically, if you are the winner, you will be rewarded according to this award type, and also you will also be rewarded according to, say, for example, once you are one of the winner, basically your logo exposure will be on our award official website, and we will list all the awardees on our post-event newspaper supplement as well. And just like what Mr. Paul mentioned just now, we will have a trophy and also a certificate for you. And also you will have the permission to use our award official logo for promotional purposes, and we will also have 2 complimentary seats for the presentation ceremony for you to join us on that night as well, so that you can receive the trophy from our jurors and also our invited guests. So hopefully we can answer your question, Mr. Zhang. So let's see if we have any more questions from the floor. It seems I do think we have answered all the questions, and also I think we covered very well from our presentations, so that's why we don't have much questions here. Chat room. Let me see. Oh, okay. I saw there is a few questions. Can a fintech firm apply for the award?
I think so, because it's the ESG award. So if they fulfill the ESG requirement and all this, and I think then, of course, a fintech company can apply as well. We welcome them to apply as well. Of course, we will have IFTA will have another award in June, and maybe the ESG category in the fintech award as well. So they can apply both, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Pong. Yes, definitely. Basically, we welcome all different companies to apply for our award as well. So basically, no matter which industry you are from, we would also like to encourage different industry to further help us to promote on ESG. So I saw that there is one more questions, which is they would like to ask if it is 500 words for each E, S, and G further to elaborate the achievement. Basically, the answer is yes. It would be 500 words for each section, and you would describe your companies and achievement under environmental with 500 words, under social 500 words, and also under governance 500 words as well. And be reminded to attach with your ESG, CSR, or sustainability report in 2019 to 2020 with us as well. So I think that's the other questions from our floor. We got one more questions here. Could you explain more in details on the special award voted by fund managers?
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, I think like this category, this award is like if you have already applied for the ESG benchmark award and also the special ESG award. So you can also apply for the special award voted by the fund manager. But at that categories, at that award is the finalists is selected by the fund managers, which is chosen by our society. So that would be the awards that eligible if you have already applied for the ESG benchmark award and the special award that we just mentioned.
Thank you, Mr. Pang. We got a few more questions here.
Can I speak a little bit about this award?
Sure, Mr. Pang.
The manager, because I think the fund manager has different perspective in the ESG because they are doing the investment. They have different factors. So we want to, through this exercise or award ceremony and this platform, we can let a lot of listed companies know that what is the requirement, the different requirement between the stock exchange as well as the I think this is very important for the listed company. In future, they will know how the fund manager and also the gap between that. So for this exercise and the award, I think we want to communicate each other to know the difference, so that in future, the listed company can strive their best to do the better for to attract the fund manager investment when they do the ESG for their own company.
Thank you, Mr. Pong. I saw there are a few more questions here, but probably we cannot answer one by one. So if you have any questions, just feel free to contact our team, and we definitely would be happy to further answer your questions, especially on why should I apply this award and what kind of recognition we could get, and also basically what benefit you can gain in the ESG award as well. We will further contact with the people that the audience that just answered the questions, and we will further contact with you for more information about that. So moving forward, actually we are moving to the section 2 section of today. But before that, once again, thank you for Mr. Pang and Mr. Pong to answer all these questions first. So before we move forward, this would be at the end of the section 1 and we open for section 2. I think at this moment, I shall pass the floor to our moderator of today, who is Dr. Kenny Tang. Dr. Tang, are you with us here right now? Hi, Dr. Tang. Hi, Dr. Tang, welcome.
Yes.
Yes, and in section 2, we will talk more about the ESG, impact, and social responsible investing. So, Dr. Tang, let me pass the floor to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Today, we are very happy to have a panel discussion related to the topics of the ESG. I think nowadays investors are more focused on the ESG issue when they make investment decision. In fact, the global financial market related to the sustainability development now reach $30 trillion US, but Asian markets just only account for a single-digit market share. So there's a lot of room to grow in the ESG market in the Hong Kong and Asia. So today we are happy to have several honorable guests to discuss the caption topic with our audience. Let me introduce the panelists first. The first one is Mr. 𝐀𝐜𝐴, the Executive Director of Financial Service Development Council. Welcome, Mr. 𝐀𝐜𝐴.
Hi.
And the second panelist is Mr. 𝐁𝐫𝐚𝐴, Nelson, Chairman of the Hong Kong Investment Fund Association. Hello, Mr. Nelson.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Kenny.
Hello. And the third one is Mr. Johnnie, Managing Director of the Haitong International Asset Management Hong Kong Limited.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. And the last one is Mr. Richard Mak, President of the CFA Society Hong Kong. Hello, Mr. Mak.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, let's start with Mr. 𝐀𝐜𝐴 first. Mr. 𝐀𝐜𝐴, compared to other countries, how is the ESG investing trend in Hong Kong and its future development?
Thanks for that question. First of all, I want to congratulate IESGB for the establishment and also the introduction of this very worthy award. Going back to Hong Kong and ESG, I would say Asia as a whole is lagging behind. Based on the data prepared by a Global Impact Investing Network, GIIN, roughly 30% of the assets in North America are invested in ESG assets. In Europe, the figure is about 15%, but for Asia as a whole, we are looking at just around 5%. So we definitely see a latecomer in this global trend. But having said that, I think Hong Kong is actually leading in some area. I'm glad to say that the government, the regulators have more or less taken on board all our recommendations put forward back in 2018 in the paper titled ESG Strategy for Hong Kong, published by our council. I want to highlight one of the key recommendations was for the government and regulators to form a steering group, which was established called the Green and Sustainable Finance Cross-Agency Steering Group a couple of months ago. And they came out with 5 very important initiatives. I want to repeat what they said because that sets the scene for this ESG development in Hong Kong. Well, first of all, increasing disclosure. And that's why I think this award is very important, encouraging companies to make more ESG reporting and be more transparent. But in doing so, we need to agree on certain common terminologies. And that's why the steering group recommended that we must have a common ground taxonomy. And following the one developed by IPSF, say International Platform on Sustainable Finance. And then the third one is on sustainable reporting. And that also is important going forward. It's about data because financial reporting is straightforward. It's all about numbers. But when it comes to ESG, especially social and sustainability, impact investing, not all numbers can be quantified, or what the results can be translated into numbers easily. So that is important. And then scenario analysis to try and encourage like some kind of education and information sharing. Last but not least is platform for information sharing across sectorial for capacity building and repository. And in terms of
Okay, I found this on the web for capacity building a repository.
Oh, sorry, I think, my iPad has gone berserk. But anyway, coming back to what I'm going to say, I'm not going to repeat what the regulators and Hong Kong MA have done recently, because I'm sure you're aware of that. What I want to highlight is the future trend. Going back to what I said earlier, Europe and the US are leading, mainly because the trend actually was started or initiated by asset owners. And I'm glad that we are seeing this trend in Hong Kong as well. I know certain universities in Hong Kong have been investing in ESG focused projects. And family office is, again, something that we've been promoting, and the demand from family offices and multifamily offices on ESG, on sustainability, on the rise. And I'm happy to report that I just found out one of the largest global consultants with a strong ESG focus will be setting up an office in Hong Kong, mainly focusing on recommending ESG investment projects and fund managers to institutional investors here in Hong Kong and China. And talking about trend, I'm also glad to see that we have fund managers on the panel talking about their development, because ultimately, apart from asset owners, we also need investors to support this theme. And I'm sure the other panel speakers will talk more about that later. Another new trend, not a new trend, but actually a trend that we need to sustain, is on capacity building, that is education. The universities now incorporating ESG into their undergraduate curriculum, and their master courses that are being designed, I understand. So again, I'll look to the industry practitioners, like all of you here, how we can actually keep the momentum going, educate the younger generation, but at the same time providing continuous training to existing practitioners. After all, ESG is a relatively new concept. It's actually quite complex. You all heard of the UN SRI goals, and the 17 of them, right? And each one of them can be very technical. So finally, I want to round off by saying that data is everything. And recently, I come across a very good paper published by IESGB together with a new organization that I just came across recently. The Institute, sorry, let me just try and, Future of Sustainable Data Alliance. These two bodies joined together to publish this report on data challenges and opportunities for ESG and sustainable finance in APAC. I encourage everyone to try and look it up, because it does highlight some of the challenges that we face in terms of ESG and sustainable finance reporting. Yeah. Back to you, Kenny.
Hi, Dr. Ol, thank you. I have one question for you. Do you think the Hong Kong government do enough to push the ESG, and also what do you expect the Financial Service Development Council can do something? What kind of things to develop the ESG?
Yeah, government definitely has taken on board ESG very seriously, and that's why we have this steering group that was set up recently with those 5 recommendations I just mentioned. But not just that, on green finance, the government has made a pledge, to issue more green bonds. We already have the largest green bond market outside of China and Asia to some extent. So we are actually putting a lot more efforts on that. And in terms of FSDC, we'll continue to work on various sub-segments within ESG, because ESG is really just a big theme. Again, going back to our research work, we'll be publishing a paper quite soon, highlighting the supply and demand picture of the future trend in fintech and ESG related areas. So watch this space.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Au. And let me introduce the second panelist, Mr. Chow King-Hong Nelson.
Hello, Kenny.
Hi, Nelson. I have two questions for you. The first question is, what are the investor perspective toward the ESG company and investing?
Okay, actually, it's interesting when you ask this question, because recently the Hong Kong IFH has just done a survey on investor, asking them, how they view ESG investments. So surprisingly to say that actually 75% of the participants, the investors, said that they are aware of ESG investments. So we thought, maybe the end investor may not be aware of this ESG so-called theme, but in fact, 75% of them said, they're aware of it. And we asked, where you learn the ESG investments from. And most of them would say it's from internet, it's from electronic media, it's from social media. Of course, the younger generation are more aware of the ESG investments in the world. But then we asked, how about how interested are you to invest in ESG vehicles? Only 21 of them said, they will consider and they will invest in ESG related products. So half of them, so like 49% of the participant of the investor are saying, they're not sure because they don't know too much about ESG investing. And of course, no surprise, they associate ESG investment that will incur extra costs that may not be seeking better return because, you focus on social issues, you focus on environmental issues, that's, there's cost to the company. So that may not be the best investments to invest in. And also, although it's doing good to the world, they also they're also environmentalists. But when it comes to putting their money at work, they don't think this is, relevant. When you make an investment, they don't think ESG be responsible for the environmental and social issue are relevant to their investments. So, needless to say, there's a lot of education and there's a lot of promotion that the industry has to do to promote the awareness to let investors know what actually ESG is about.
Nelson, the second question is, why and how ESG investing benefits investor?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. Actually, I have prepared some slides to share with the audience that will tell a better story. So let me just put it to the screen. So just bear with me for 1 second. Okay, so when we talk about ESG investing, actually, it is not something remote. We can say it happened in impact our day-to-day life. When we open a newspaper, when we turn on a news program, all the issues that you been hearing are all ESG related. So lately, the COVID-19 pandemic that we are all impacted. That's the reason that we are doing virtual instead of being in a hotel for a seminar. That has to do with the environmental issues, the health issues. That's ESG, and then the social issues, the inequality that we see every day in every part of the world. In Hong Kong and the US, it's also about the social issues that we are facing. We're facing the challenge today. And also another one, which is very popular a few months ago, we see wildfires in the California and in Australia that cause a lot of money, a lot of lives that is impacting us because of the climate change. So ESG is not something that's remote. In fact, these issues are very imminent, very close to home. And it's really having a negative impact on our health, on our life and on our wealth. So we are really at the breaking point of peak carbon emission, of healthcare crisis, and of inequality crisis. This is nothing new, especially to the UN and to the global governments. That's why the UN actually have put together 17 what they call the Sustainable Development Goals. In fact, also no surprise, around the world, there are 193 nations committed to solve these issues that really impacting mankind today. And these 17 goals including solving inequality, providing education to everyone, so not only to the wealthy nations, clean energies, sustainable energy. So these are, the goals that can solve the issues, the problems that I just mentioned. And not only that, so going back to the investors, or going back to the companies, why should they focus on ESG? I think it's fair to say for fund managers like ourselves, going forward, it's very unlikely we invest in companies that are not aware of ESG or doing the good thing to the world. What the fund managers are doing today is they have very stringent screening that they have to do and monitoring on the companies they invest into, and making sure they are meeting ESG goals. They are meeting ESG standards, because a lot of the big institutions or government, when they have mandate assigned to the fund managers, they require the investment they make, into those companies are doing good to the world, not harming the environment. So that's why it's important to the companies. To the investor, why is important to the investor? Because when we highlighted the investment opportunities, they are currently, we just mentioned 193 nations committed into programs, currently around 160 programs, aiming to solve the problem I just mentioned and achieving those 17 goals. But not only that, there are 90 trillion US dollar, roughly 90 trillion US dollar of investment opportunity in those areas. So think about it, if companies can really benefit from those money, 90 trillions putting at work, and if you are the company who can solve these issues and benefit from the money invested, think about the growth potential of this company. So today, I just want to highlight some company who can solve these issues and the opportunities there. So I mentioned a few challenges and also the health issues that we are facing, in addition to the challenges I just mentioned, more at the micro level, like people are facing disease, cancer, chronic disease that can be solved today if you can innovate, some personalized treatment, personalized medicine, better diagnostic and preventable measures can be taken. So this is one. The other one is, to solve what I call the inequality, in some nation or in some smaller company, how can they compete with large institutions? Actually, the digital and mobile payment platform provide a space, a venue that they can also easily access to capital and to exchange, to payment, so that they can compete with large giant companies. And at the same time, if you say in a remote area they have less access to doctors, that's also another health issues. Now we all know, through the mobile apps, through the technology, doctors can treat patients remotely, and we all know that. And if you are active in the stock market, you have heard all this story. So these are only a few examples that I would like to share with the audience today. But definitely, I want to highlight the importance not only for the companies and also for the investors to really focus on these issues and helping the world address this issue. And there are investment opportunities actually lying around for us to take advantage of. So over to you, Kenny.
Okay, thank you very much, Les, and thanks for sharing. I think it's very good for the investor. Okay, let me introduce the third panelist, Mr. Johnnie Yong, Managing Director of the Haitong International Asset Management. Mr. Yong. Hello.
Afternoon.
Hi, and I have one question for you. Is what are the fund manager perspective toward the ESG company and investing?
Yes. That came, and also Vincent just mentioned about the benefit of ESG investing. But most of the investor really cares about the return. They always have doubts now whether we invest into ESG, whether that would add values. But academic research has been showing a company with high ESG scores tends to be better managed, better positioned for the future opportunities, and better protected against unforeseen risks. For instance, for example, Oxford University in 2015 published a report. They looked at over 190 academic studies on ESG investing, and they all concluded that basically a good company with ESG practice tend to have lower capital, so better operating performance, and those two also translate into better stock performance against the peers. In the past 2 years, the global economy has been experiencing dramatic changes. We are seeing the pandemic, the COVID-19 war, the first ever negative oil price, and all the central banks racing to expand the QE programs. All these changes are exceptional. Transform the way the world economies and also the way consumer behaves. For instance, we are seeing technology basically expanding, basically physical stores being replaced by online stores. All these crises, all these changes may prove to be a major turning point for ESG investing. For instance, fund managers now are incorporating ESG evaluation into the investment process by focusing on the sustainability of the company itself, in particular, the flexibility of its supply chain, its ability to adapt to the future, and also its capacity to withstand unforeseen risks. And definitely, we are seeing a clear increase in demand for ESG investing since the pandemic broke out. And this investment, ESG investment, tends to outperform the major markets. And for investors, there are many different types of ESG products, like negative screening, for moral reasons, fee-based investment, where they focus on specific ESG challenges such as climate change or gender diversity, or best-in-class, where you invest in a better ESG score compared to their peers, and also impact investing, where they have target a specific project with measurable benefit and also measurable return. But for the major trends to most investors are there are no universal standard on ESG definition or ESG methodologies. For most investors, like small institutions or retail investors, they just don't have the capacity to know what's underneath the investment, what kind of ESG definition that they are using or applying. To avoid green washing, especially someone tells you nice on the screen, but in fact, it may not be. Different companies use different definitions. Basically, FSC, because of that, they developed a list of ESG and green funds for approved approved a list of approved ESG and green funds. There are, I think, 37 ESG funds on the list, including 2 ESG ETFs. And they also helping do a consultation paper to all fund managers by including ESG, basic consideration into the investment process. Our exchange also late last month also launched a sustainable and green exchange called Stage. It's an online portal for institutional investors to provide greater information and also transparency on sustainable products. Given the benefit of ESG investing and also to both investment community and also to the world as a whole, our company is committed to take a leadership role in providing sustainable finance. And as such, late last year, we also launched the first bond-based ESG ETF in Hong Kong. At the moment, unfortunately, there's only 2, but we believe there will be more ESG opportunity for investors. I think a passive ESG ETF can easily fill the product gap with its transparency, low cost, and also robust ESG methodology that has been around for a long time, and that could help retail as well as institutional investors to fill the gap by investing into ESGs. Sorry, you are on mute. Kenny.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Yong. Let me introduce the last panelist, is Mr. Richard Mack, the president of the CFA Society of Hong Kong. Mr. Mack.
Hi, thank you, Kenny.
Good afternoon.
Long time to see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because you are the president of the CFA, so let's be asking the question about the analysts, the perspective for the analysts to investing in the company that relate to the ESG, and how can the listed company to do better in the ESG?
Sure, I think this is a very relevant topics for our members who comprise of 7,000 CFA charter holders in Hong Kong, and a lot of them, the day job has to do with the investment analysis. And as I think all our panelists has talked about how it's important, and also it's because it's a must do right now for investment analysts to integrate the ESG factors into their research process. Okay. Because it is not just we want to do it, also our clients want to do it, our investor need to do it. So maybe let me focus a bit more. Today, I probably would like to make some, I won't say suggestion, recommendation, or even an open pledge to the issuers to help the analysts to do their job. Because we need, for being effective and I think a useful investment analysis on ESG impact, the input, the data, the disclosure from the issuer is the utmost important. So maybe I think one area we'd like to see is which I think the regulator has helped. They've been doing a consultation paper. They on EX also issuing more guidelines. But I think maybe want to highlight is we want to see if the issuer can enhance for the Hong Kong listed companies can enhance the ESG disclosure, which would help to reduce the information asymmetry, i.e. making things more comparable, uniform and consistent in the emerging green finance system. Now, what we like to more concretely is we like to see they can benchmark against the peers and the best practice in the industry. So it's not just what they're doing and how they're doing compared with the peers. And very important, I think many of our co-panelists has emphasized is we need to engage and communicate with the investor. So it's not just you do it, but you have to how to communicate. And it is very important that what you are doing on the ESG matters. And also, I think there's a lot of battle. There's many wide area ESG. So I think we also need the issue to help us to attentive to the key areas. So I would like to them just like they should conduct comprehensive materiality assessment. What is more important? What is material to them? And communicating these specific details in the ESG report. And also, I think is to make things compatible, apple to apple, and also on the comparable standards. We also encourage them to adopt the international certification standard, so that and the management system, so that we can compare across with the international gold standard, and also how they've been doing compared with the peers. And final is like on this data is important is like I would say sometimes it's like garbage in, garbage out. So it is important. We would like to also ask, I think ask, I won't say request, but I think encourage the issuer to use external assurance. Okay, some external parties to conduct assurance on the ESG data and reporting to make sure they're relevant, accurate, and useful for the investors. And these, we are the first part. We're the analysts. We will have to deliver the research to the and the results, our analysts, and also our suggestions to the investors. So this is very important for us to have the proper input. And the one more point I want to highlight is like probably I think on the industry are well aware recently. Actually, right now the SFC is closing on the consultations on the disclosure of climatic-related risk from the by the investment managers. So yes, from society, our society is certainly a strong supporter for these, because it is very important for the investor to understand what they invest in and how what the funds, the investment, then the vehicles they invest in, do they understand the climatic risk of the underlying investments. But in order to get there, it's a food chain. So we would like to also need to have more support from the issuers. So I would like to also pledge the Hong Kong ListCo to consider the climate change as one of the key top ESG factors in the ESG integrations, because we want to make, because this is a very important part. I know we have the other like corporate governance, sustainability, social responsibility report, but the E on this part regarding is like the climate change is a very imminent issue. So we want to see they can embed the issue of the climate change in the corporate risk assessment, so that they help us to understand how the business model and the portfolio and operations practice are being affected by the climate change in more detail. And also to in here, they combine the results of the stakeholder engagement of the ListCo and with the material assessment to find a better picture about the priority. What do they want to, what is the key battle to fight in terms of the ESG issues? And of course, the attention on the board, the prioritize. I think many of our panelists say important and emphasize important why it matters for the issues. But I think the commitment and the engagement of the board of the issuers is very, very top important, because otherwise it would just become like, I wouldn't want to become like checking the box instead of just like, okay, I just reported. That one want to useful and like they care and they see this is important for them, for the investors, and it's a win-win situation for everyone. So here we go.
Okay, thank you, Richard. And Richard, do you think analysts will face difficulty to evaluate the ESG, because unlike the financial figure, we don't have a precise figure to evaluate the ESG? Is it too subjective?
Yeah, it is challenging. I think the industry, I think we all try to come up together, like our parent organization, the CF Institute. We also try to working with the various stakeholders to establish standards, so that we can have a more standard to adhere to. And also, but that is the standard we want to analyze, we want to get the data. But on the other hand, it's like, we not to also see like the more, as I said, that's why it's like, we want to have the issue to benchmarking against the peers. And also like using adopt the international certification standard in the disclosure, so that the data is more comparable and more quantifiable. I know it's sometimes like for example, carbon intensity, all these things is more common right now, but still, besides we understand it, we also need the issuers to pay, to invest, and to disclose and make proper disclosure to provide useful input for us. You're right. is challenging, but there's no other choice. To do
Yes,
it. But
sure.
I think it has to be collaboration for all the stakeholders, not just we raise our hands and ask for data. Yes, it is, but I don't think we have a alternative.
True. Thank you also very much, Mr. Richard. And after the valuable share of from our audible guests, let's go to the Q&A question. Is there any question from the audience? No, if not, I have one more question. What are some of the challenges involving in integrating ESG into mainstream investment decision making? I think this question maybe Mr. Johnnie Yung can answer me.
Oh, sorry.
I think you're on mute.
The other panelists mentioned, data is always one of the critical issues because there are so many ESG data around. I think that there are no universal standard. So basically, the investor of the fund has to find a legitimate source of ESG data and then to integrate it into their investment process. Like for governance, I think most just has already applied it by themselves. But in terms of especially the S data, that could be quite a challenge. But once you have found the right source of information, and then it's just a matter of how to integrate it into your overall investment process.
Okay, thank you. I have one more question. Why ESG data and analysis can really help drive long-term sustainability? Anyone would like to have interest to answer this question?
I think I'll take that. Basically, ESG has been around for a long time, since 1970s. But back then, it's more like a negative screening. Basically, they screen out or for ethical reasons, they screen out in a certain industry, like fossil fuel or even companies, but they to financial materiality into the process. But these days, basically ESG data has been around. Basically, they have been refined, and then the financial materiality is also incorporated into the entire ESG investing. So basically, the end result naturally, basically, a company that has good ESG practice tends to be better managed and also better positioned to capture future opportunities. And most importantly, they could also basically protect against unforeseen risks. For example, the economy, pharmaceutical, back in I think a couple of years ago, the Volkswagen, all these risks can be avoided through the ESG screening process.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Yung. I think it's time to finish this session. Once again, I would like to thank you all of the honorable guest speaker. So I would like to pass the time to MC.
Thank you very much. Once again, thank you all for joining us today, and also the insight sharing with us. It is so valuable insight that could help our audience to know more about the impact and also the social responsible investing on the ESG side. So there is a heads up for you all, for the audience who joined us today. There will be a second webinar after the Chinese New Year holiday. Please stay tuned with us on our website and also our Facebook for the latest information. And also, you can also contact our Secretariat office, which is, you can see the contact details as shown on the slides you can see on the screen right now. If there is any questions, just feel free to contact with us. So once again, thank you all for the panelists and all the speakers joining us today. Thank you and have a good day ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.